us started. So welcome everyone. Thank you for attending today. My name is Linda Griffin and I am the Education Programs Coordinator with BusinessLink. Thank you for joining us today. We are honored to provide services to all entrepreneurs and specialty services to our immigrant and Indigenous entrepreneurs. We are inclusive in our cultural understanding and awareness of the histories of our country. With that, I'll start this webinar today with a land acknowledgement. We want to acknowledge that in the province of Alberta, we are situated on the traditional territories of Treaties 4, 6, 7, 8, and 10, ancestral homeland of diverse First Nations group, Métis, and Indigenous people whose ancestors have walked this land since time immemorial and whose histories, languages, and cultures continue to influence our vibrant community. We pay respects to the Indigenous people of this land, past, present, and future, while recognizing their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationship to the land on which we reside. Thank you for joining today. Mali Fonseca will be joining us to present the money side of business. If you would like to ask a question during the webinar, check the bottom of your screen for the Q&A setting. There's two ways to speak to us today. One is through chat to say hello, and that's where I'll be dropping links. But the Q&A is where you actually want to type in your questions if you have questions. And I'll be answering, I'll be asking those throughout the presentation directly to Melly. So if you type your questions in there, we can get some of those answered. As well, this will be recorded and posted to our website in the next few days. And in the link I'm going to send to you in the chat box and in the follow-up email I send out to everyone, you'll receive handouts for today's presentation, along with a PDF version of the PowerPoint presentation. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to our presenter today. Mali, please welcome and happy to get started with you today.
Hi, thank you, Linda. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. As she already introduced me, I'm a chartered accountant, CPA and CGA together. Our time is very limited, so I'm just jump to our topic that we are talking about today. It is the money side of business. If you just think about the money side of business, it is not only for the business. This session, once you get something from this session, you will realize you can see the money side of your day-to-day life as well. So before moving to the slide by slide in a usual manner, I'm just going to the last page. I think it's page 27 of your slides. So if I go, it is 27. You can see I'm moving it to 25, 27. So there you get the resources. This is my past experience. Everyone missed this part one at the end of the session if I started to tell. So I think this is the best way of starting this session. So they are providing all these slides made by CPA Canada. So they provide you the glossary of terms. So any field, any industry, there are some certain terminology. So now we are talking about the business and money, and it is related to accounting and it is financing. So therefore, there are specific terms that you should be aware of before you talking to a financial advisor or a CPA, a professional accountant, to get some advice. So that second one is implementation checklist, and there are some two other links. So I will show you first one. I'm trying to grab this one. Linda, you can see the glossary of terms.
We're still looking at your PowerPoint.
Yeah. Okay, I think everyone can see the glossary of terms. So when you, it is with the package. So these terms are more, always we don't talk in our day-to-day life. So therefore, this is something new. Most of them knows what they are, but this is very handy to know. If you heard this term, okay, go to procedure of terms and see there's some specific terms are there that related to today's session and related to your day-to-day businesses. Okay. The other one is the implementation checklist. What that means, any of the business, when you start, maybe owned by you, or you have few employees, or it is now in a medium-sized business, you have more than 10 employees. So what will happen when you need the money from a bank, you need some loans you need some partners who can invest on your business, and you need, for all those things, you need someone who can help you in order to improve your business. So especially the finance side has to be very strong. So before you're going to meet a financial professional, this is the implementation checklist that you don't have to know. Doesn't mean that you should know each and every item of the checklist, but mostly I recommend just go through, at least you know these things. You have heard these words before. Once the financial professionals start talking, then you know what you are at, and you know what the exact questions, what you can ask from her or him. So these are the statement budgets. So this is the one, the checklist. If you're comfortable, I'm not expecting 100% because day to day you're learning while you're moving with your business. So then it is once you are comfortable, so you can check it. Okay, I know this is what she is going to talk to me. Okay, then profitability. So this is a sample checklist for you. The other one is they give you a simple one. As I told you, this is not only the business, this session help you for your day-to-day, the activities in your home. So managing money at your home. So this is a sample. They're talking about the budget. The budget, when you're planning, going for a budget, and what are the expenses, what are the areas that you have to spend money.
Okay, so just to clarify for everyone, you're going through the resources that are in the handouts. Is that correct? In the link I have sent for today's handouts, the implementation checklist, the glossary of terms, and some of these other additional resources. And everyone, I've put those in chat, so you've got them. And basically what they're there for is so that you are able to speak the language of finance with your bankers and with the people who are going to be asking you to complete documents and checklists in order to access financing. Okay, beautiful. Sorry, I just wanted to clear the resources for everyone so they knew what I was putting in the chat, Melly. So
yeah, it is on page 27.
Okay, got it. Beautiful.
Okay. So now this one I will just, before starting the thing, I got one specific terminology, vacation, budget. Vacation, everyone knows vacation. Now it's a budget is accounting finance term, it's a language. So budget, once you, let's say for example, if you're planning your family, you're by yourself or go for a vacation or some spend the day event, that you should have a budget. That means you should not change it. Budget it is going to be as it is. So when you realize something going over the budget, so you have to manage with some deductions from other expenses. So this vacation budget, all they talk about the cost. You can see expenses, cost, both the same. So they just adding up the dollar value and they will give you the total. During the time, if you see something, flights charges are going to be increased, it is increased, then you have to choose instead of 5-star hotel, you have to think about 3-star or 4-star hotel. So somehow the total all the time has to be the same, what you have already planned.
Okay, Melly, all we're seeing is your slides. Are you wanting us to see the budget sheet?
No, I am in the vacation budget sheet. You can see it, right?
Okay, so everyone, if you're wanting to understand what Molly is referencing, I've just put the handouts for today in today's chat, and you can download the sheets that are in there, and one of the sheets is the budget. So that's what we're talking about at this stage.
Okay, so I take this opportunity in the very first to go these resources, because then in any day you can go back and check where the resources are. Okay. Otherwise, yeah, the participants will miss that portion. So this is very important. It is not just a slide.
Okay, yeah. So now we all know we've got all the resources and references for the presentation. So I think we're ready to go.
Yeah, we're ready to go. Okay. So these are the links that you can get. So we are going to the presentation. Okay. All right. So the very first slide, second slide, they're talking about common questions any of the business owners may have. So this is just the most common. Some are very specific to each business. So before going to the next slides, any business, all these things you can read by yourself. It is in second slide of the package. The businesses, you have two different information. You have to produce two different information. One is for the financial side, that is your income statement, how business works, how much you earned, how much you expensed, and end of the day, how much money you make. It may be a loss, it may be you make the money. So that one we call, in a very short and sweet form, what you earned, what you expense, what is the bottom line, we call that sheet called income statement. The other one is balance sheet.
Are we moving the slides forward, Melly? Because we're still up. Okay.
Okay, so I can go to the slide. It is slide number.
Okay, so we're trying to follow along, Melly, with what you're saying, but we think the slides have to go along with you when you're talking about these items. So, so if you can move the slide forward as you're chatting, that will help. So looks like we were on the slide. What is financial management? So is that where we're starting? Okay, so next slide is what is financial management? Let's see what that one's all about. Can you move us there?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. So this is what is financial management. So that's why I was trying to tell them financial management has two sides. One is financial statements, and other one is they are talking about the budgets, forecast, and industry benchmarks.
Okay. Next slide.
So financial statements, they call about product and customer analysis, timely reporting, budgeting, cash analysis, and project and trend analysis. I'm just reading this one, but just to let you know, all these things are internal. Keep in mind, all these are internal for the company. because we are talking about the customer products and all those things, we are not going to expose to the public unless if it is a public company. So private companies don't expose this information to outside, unless if the bank or something, if you want to take a loan. So that's a different story. That is going to be income statement. So next one, product analysis checklist. Now, again, I have to emphasize this is internal. Now you are running a business and you have few products lines in your business, and you want to see which one gives you more money. So that's called how do I determine if a product is profitable. So just list all the products in let's say three products, 3 different columns. And each product, how much money that you make from each product. So that's why it say identify gross sales for each product. That means how much you make from each. Then for each product, you have to calculate how much you expense for that product. How much you expense for that product. So 3 different products. Now you have the income from each product, and now you have how much cost to each product. So that's one we call cost of goods sold. So you can
what I've done for folks as well is I've also put something in from Intuit Canada QuickBooks into the chat. It's a break-even analysis. So a lot of people, when they're trying to figure out pricing and pricing strategy and analyzing the products and services you're selling, one of the things you want to do is a break-even analysis. We also have we have a downloadable guide on that at Business Link as well. So that's really partially what we're talking about here is how do I determine if my product or service is profitable, and you're identifying costs versus what you're taking in. And we have direct and we have indirect cost of goods sold. And that can confuse a lot of people, Melly. So I've put a link into QuickBooks, and I'll also put a link in for everyone on product analysis, because that can be tricky. People trying to price their products and services and understand whether or not that is a profitable item. It's a really big piece of your business. If you haven't done one before, it's really important to do this piece of your business. So I'm going to put in some resources for that while you're talking, Mala.
Yeah, so exactly, I agree with Linda. So for that one, so then you should know, is there any competitors around you? How they are how the products, what their cost of their product selling cost for those products. So that's what we call benchmarking. So I'm just trying to give you the terminology connected to the real day-to-day business, right? So now you have to find out how much you make from what you got, how much you earn, how much the cost of goods sold for each product, and the difference, sales minus cost of goods sold, provide you the gross profit. That's how it works out to be. So keep in mind, this gross profit doesn't include all the operational cost or any other cost, all the cost related to the specific product only. Okay, so.
Yeah. So can you explain to us, Melly, the difference between a variable cost and like a set cost? So some costs are variable. Mm-hmm. And some are not. What would be an example of a variable cost?
Yeah, very good example is variable cost is sometimes it's coming up as the labor cost. If the product is, let's say manufacturing company, we bring all the raw material to get the output going to be a finished good. In between, you use raw material to get that raw material to the finished good, you need the labor. So direct variable cost and direct material. So those are always varying because of the pricing, because of the nature of the output. So those are the things. So that is variable.
An example of a fixed would be something like your electricity and your costs that stay the same every month, your rent, your electricity, those are fixed. So whether or not you're producing 1,000 shoes or one shoe, that cost always remains the same for you every month. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So that means fixed cost, the only thing is you have to use the maximum of the fixed cost. As Linda said, if you make 100 shoes or one shoe, it is the fixed cost going to be the same because you have to pay the rent, no matter. You have to pay the insurance, no matter. You have to pay to the business license, no matter. Even the business is closed. Most of you have experienced in last 2 years. Even the business is very slow. These are mandatory. So those are fixed costs.
So one of the things that doing an exercise like this, and I know I did this in my business for like a long time ago, and we still do it in my business, is we understand that, you know, in order to be able to produce a product or a service and generate a profit from it, you have to understand these costs. What's fixed, what's variable, and what exactly is the cost of producing your service or product. And once you know that, you can start to play with some numbers. You can say things like, well, if I get more efficient in my production, I can trim off some of the cost of my production, so I don't necessarily have to change my price to generate more profit from my product or service. I know I have a service business, so just so everyone knows, I have a service business. We looked a lot at this particular set of items. We looked a lot at the break even and the price, and I have a lot of different small services in my business or mid-sized services. One of the things that this type of exercise from a financial standpoint helped my company do was understand that we needed to get more efficient with the time delivery of what we did as a service. So if we were able to do that, I was able to be a little more competitive on my pricing, but extract a whole lot more profit out of my service. So sometimes when people look at a webinar like this and they're going, well, the money side of business and all of these numbers and what does it all mean and why would I bother doing it? It's in this type of exercise and it's in the money side of your business that you're really discovering, am I supposed to trim a cost? Am I supposed to look for a new supplier? Am I supposed to change my marketing strategy? What am I supposed to do differently? Am I supposed to now increase my price? And doing these kinds of analysis tell you those things. And it can be such a struggle when you're an entrepreneur to do it because it seems like Greek a little bit when you start, but this is a good exercise to start. So thanks, Melly. I'll see if we have any questions on cost of goods and break even in the Q&A. I don't think we do, but folks, if you have questions, I keep asking them. If you have questions, please stick them in the Q&A and I'm happy to interrupt. As you can see, I'm happy to interrupt and get the questions going.
Okay. Yeah, may I just add what Linda told about how to managing, analyzing, and your business cash flow.
Yes.
If I do use that term, cash flow, money
cash flow
in and money out, right? So that cash flow, what I suggest, what I'm working here now, this is a kind of little bit big business, but still, the small things matters. How it matters, I just told them, okay, we have this much of money coming to the company. That is cash in. Now cash out we have to manage, right? That is day-to-day business. First of all, we said the priority payables, the fixed payables, you have to pay no matter. Most of the things, the salaries or rent, if you own the business, property taxes, water, electricity, insurance, benefit package, those are no matter. Those are priority payments. So you have to pay those ones. The other ones are let's say janitorial service, some regular maintenance. For example, for janitorial service, before COVID, every company, I'm talking about the medium to large size, they have janitorial service every day. Every day. So now they cut it to only Tuesday and Thursdays only. So you can cut down somewhere. You have to find out something that you are comfortable to reducing to keep your margins higher. But you cannot cut down the rent. Of course, you can do by negotiating with the landlord. Other than that, you are obligated to continue with the rent, what you have already agreed upon. And the insurance, you cannot reduce. It is keep increasing all the year. That is normal. So those are the ones. So that's the thing. All the time when you see something, just think about, okay, this much money came in. What are my priority payments? What are the other payments? Can I manage this week? Just go by week. No, don't wait for a month. That's my best advice to any of the entrepreneurs. Don't wait until the month financial statements. Go by week. How much? Then you will feel, oh man, next week I have to pay this benefit package. Oh, week after week we have to pay the salaries. You cannot avoid that. Yeah. All right. Let's go to the next slide. So now, product analyst. Now we'll talk about how to get the gross margin. So gross margin is, gross profit. So it is divided by sales. You can get the gross margin. So sometimes, most of the cases in companies, this gross margin presented as a percentage of the sales. Let's go to the next one. Now we have some idea how the product analysis related to your income. Now we talking about the customer analysis. Yeah, you have different taste of customers. Not all the customers are same. Some are very unique. Even though they are unique, then you have to change your business strategy for that unique customer. But if the customer brings you more money, definitely you have to more focus on that customer. So how do you find that customer is very unique or bring the money to your company? So similar to what we do to the product. You have to list all the customers, compare the product that they provide, that you provide to, adjust pricing to enhance profitability, focus marketing and delivery method, and consider dropping unprofitable products. So you just go for customers and go through what are the items that moving fast and at the same time brings you more money. There's two things. Some are moving fast, not gives you more money. Sometimes is a one product, if you sell, you get a huge profit margin. So you have to analyze the product by product, how the customers are buying. So,
I can give an example of that, actually.
Yeah, please. Yeah, thank you.
So when I first started my company, I used to have a lovely man who met me in an elevator and took me for coffee. He was a businessman in Calgary who saw that I was struggling, and we both worked out of the same building. One day I said to him, I complained a lot. I was really young. I complained a lot, and I said, I can't compete with my, with the competitors I have across the street. The prices are so low, blah, 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 blah. And I just sort of whined quite a bit to him. And I said, I can't keep dropping prices and I'm never going to make money. And I was really complaining. And he just turned to me and he said, Linda, you just need to double your prices. And I thought to myself, what? I've just been complaining for 20 minutes that I'm trying to compete on price. And I went, okay. He said, well, what do you have to lose? You don't have customers anyway. Why don't you try it? So sure enough, about 2 days later, I got a call because I was slow and I was starting and someone wanted to do business with me. So I just right away on the phone call, I thought, okay, I'm going to give this a try, not knowing what I was doing. And I just started reaming off all of the great things I could do for this person over the phone. They didn't have to stand in line. They didn't have to come to my doorstep. They didn't have to fill out forms or kits. Just so people know, I own a corporate registry. So I was telling them over the phone, you don't have to stand in line. You don't have to complete a kit. I can do it all over the phone. And I gave him a price, and it was double what I would have quoted 2 days earlier. And wouldn't you know it, he said, yep, go ahead, let's get it started. And that was a huge lesson for me about the concept of pricing, the concept of all of this sort of wrapped into one little lesson for me that day. And what it taught me was that customers, you have to find customers in a niche way. You cannot compete on price, and you need to figure out ways to solve people's problems that are unique to how you can do it in your business, and that your product or service is not going to be for everyone. So that was the first lesson I learned. And then I learned how to get better and better and better at marketing what I was doing in terms of how I spoke to people, how we completed their services for them. We got very efficient at it. So that was the next step, was to get to extract even more profitability out of the services I was giving. We learned to extract better time efficiency out of it. So if you're in a service business, what are the ways you can make your service more time efficient? Because you're really about time in a service business. Then we learned we had to take a look at all of the services I was doing. And even though I had services where I was charging quite a bit of money for those services, and it was a large sum, it looked like a big sum to me, the actual services that were the most profitable when we analyzed it were the small little repeat services that I didn't have to do marketing for. I could do them over and over for the same clients. They were small amounts of money, but they were consistent, and they had to be done every year and during the months of every year. And we turned our focus in my company to those services and figuring out ways, once we had the customer, to generate that customer to keep coming back on.
Linda, you're mute.
Sorry, everyone. I think I dropped off Wi-Fi here, but that was a little lesson in terms of customer analysis. Sometimes what you think is the most profitable thing, or sometimes you think what's the best customer, if you analyze the time you spent and the work you spent on it, isn't always the most profitable. So that's the real value of doing customer analysis here.
If I can add a little bit for that, it is mostly nowadays, it is a method of delivery. The delivery method gives you a huge chunk of money to you. So as far as I understood, Linda's mostly it is online. So people don't now like to work from home. Now they are used to work from home, and they didn't want to get dressed nicely and go out and get the service done. So most service companies nowadays try to do the delivering their services online. And at the same time, those who are not, so start delivering your invoices online, email, don't mail it. Always email. So then you have the proof, and at the same time, the customer get the invoice as soon as you click the button send. So you don't have to wait whether Canada Post, okay, it is delivered, or are they going to on strike on December, nothing. So you already delivered your invoice and the service you provided. So that is very important, and that is good thing that we learn, and more we are forced to incline due to COVID, thanks to COVID.
If you're in a food-based business, I don't know if anyone's noticed on this slide the word loss leader. So if people aren't familiar with that term, you see it a lot in restaurant and food businesses. I used to work in food services as a youngster as well. And we used to give away French fries. That was our loss leader. So we would sucker people into the restaurant with free fries. So we would lose a bit of money on the fries, but it was a very inexpensive way. We used it as what was called a loss leader to get people through the door to buy our very expensive other food items. So we would give away the fries and in exchange, get them to pay for the higher, more profitable items. In the restaurant, you see that all the time in the restaurant business. So if you're in the food business, that's an example of a loss leader. Anything you're giving away that's a inexpensive product or service that you can sample or give away in the front of your business is a loss leader.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, then how do I determine if a customer or customer type is profitable? So same, this is always go with the previous slide. And this is now, previous slide, we focus on customer purchases. Now we are focused on the customer types. Because as Linda told, that some customers are very unique and we want to, we have to have some strategies put in place in order to make sure that the customer is will be coming back. And to make it, in order to have to make your business, your products, again, I'm going back to the previous slide. So this is not isolated items, both together. So they say list all customers or customer types. Identify typical shopping cart per customer. So in this case, I really appreciate, and I was shocked, and it makes me a big smile. I go once in a while for Tim Hortons, and they get when I give the credit card, and when they charge my credit card and give it to me, I didn't even see that he's checked my credit card. He said, "Hi, here, Mali, your credit card." So it's like more close to me. They're calling by name, like my first name. "Hi, Mali, this is your credit card. You can stay there at that side and they will call you." So once my coffee is ready, say, "Mali, it's your coffee." So see, so always that's something that every customer want to be, they are recognized or they are well received. They want to make sure that wherever they go, they were well respected. So this is one way, by calling very friendly by their first name. I know this is the culture in Canada. So I know I'm from a different country. As immigrants, we always call Madam, Miss, Sir, and Mr. Hi, Mr. White, something. But here, they need more close. In Canada, it is more close. So just give up your fear calling their first name. So try to make sure that you more know about him very well. So when they come to the next time your shop, you know them, you should remember the what kind of product that he had bought. Just as, "Oh, we have the different pattern now. So see, this one is different now, but you can try." So
in marketing, we call this customer personas. So if anyone's interested in checking out, if anyone's interested in checking out some of the stuff we do at Business Link, one of the workshops we do is market research for business success. And we've got one tomorrow from Statistics Canada. They're coming in to show you how to use the Stats Canada website. But anytime you're talking about, how to personalize for customers, it's all about data, the data you're getting. So as you're identifying your customers, you're identifying the data you're getting from them. Market research is really good for that. And to Mali's point about first names and names, many years ago when I worked in food services, I worked in a place called Licks Ice Cream and Burger Shops in Toronto. And we would actually sing to the customers. So they'd come through the door and we'd be singing. It was a 50s, 60s burger joint. We sang songs about hamburgers and fries and milkshakes, and charged us a small fortune for it all. And then at the till, we would take their name and we would slide their trays around to the dressing table and dress their burgers for them. We always had to call out their names. So we would be standing there singing, and then we go, "Hey, Bob, what would you like on your burger?" And people would just come for the experience, not only the food, but for the experience. So that's a great point, Melly. When you're at Tim Hortons and they're capturing your name, they're trying to personalize that experience for you as much as they can. And that also increases your chances of profitability with a customer and getting them to come back. It costs less to get a customer to come back than it does to try and capture a new one, for sure.
Yeah, and I cannot tell, but one of the biggest garment giant in Canada, so high-end, kind of high-end, but it is good for me, all the middle class. So I see every type. I was a cashier one time in my early days, $9.50 per hour, cashier for all the nights and all. And the first lesson the teachers, they say, no matter if the customer coming with all those clothes with them, they have the doubt with them. Am I going to buy all these? Oh my God, no, I like it. Oh no, should I? So that mind, they come to the cashier. As a cashier, you have to, oh, these are nice, this nicely suit on you. So you have to give some opinion, but it has to be genuine, and telling that, oh, this color, why don't you try the other color, the pink one, instead of yellow. So something that gives them more close to them, so they are very confident coming back and very confident what they are buying and very confident what they paid for, even they pay a high price for some of the items. So that one I experienced for last 2 years. Even then today I go to that. So when I see that, I see, oh, the same culture is still in little bit different way, but same culture, yeah.
I'm going to put in a few links as well to the BDC for folks while you're going through this presentation. So for example, when you see at the bottom here, gross profit divided by sales equals gross margin, I'm going to put in a few links to ratios from the BDC website so that you can see how those things work. Thanks, Melly. I know I'm interrupting, but it's sometimes nice to put a bit of a face on what numbers look like in terms of tactics in your business in the real world. So it's not such an academic exercise sometimes. It's helpful to do that.
Okay. So the customer analysis will continue. Once you know how profitable each customer is, what you can do? Yeah. Sort customers by gross profit and gross margin. So these terms you can see all the way throughout your business. You have to talk about gross profit, gross margin, right? So focus marketing and delivery methods on most profitable customers. When it's come to marketing, the best marketing is the smile. No cost at all. Speak out. Give your full support and full service to the customer. It is no cost, nothing. But it is lots to the customer. They definitely come back. It is without sometimes some grocery shops, when the late it's about to close, I can see most of the cashiers, or you cannot find anyone to ask about the product because they are getting ready to go home and in their shift. But it is not the way when I used to work at Calgary Co-op. I can remember I was in a deli as a deli supervisor. So one of the co-worker that worked with me, she every time 15 minutes before she clean all the cheese slices. But just about 5 minutes before the store closed, someone come and ask, how are the cheese sliced thinly? Just guess what? Havarti cheese thin slices means it getting all that nicely washed and cleaned slicer. So I can remember still my co-worker's face, but I just jumped and I said, oh yeah, sure. You want to try a piece? This new. So I just add something in order to make sure that he's happy. So we do that instead of not telling that we already close and shut, almost about to shut down. But I have the same experience in very recently in a different store, not Calgary Corp, and she said we already cleaned out our meat slices. So those are the things that sometimes then I thought, okay, going forward, I'm not going to come to this store again.
What else do we have, Melly? Now that we've got our customers and our break-even analysis. So we've done a break-even analysis, gross profitability analysis for customers. What are the other things that we can look at here in the next 15 minutes? Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Yeah. So most of the things that they're talking about, the key financial management reports, the very first square, there's a three primary financial statements: profit and loss, we call income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. So all these three, we talked a little bit. This information you need to share with the bank or share with your whoever the partners in your company, but not published to the public. These ones as well. The profitability ratio is mostly how you are going to improve your business in money-wise with the quality, keeping the quality, and how you're going to improve. How do you go into the next step of the business, next stage of the business? How much money you can make? Am I going to make a 10% extra next year or just 1%? So this profitability ratio, we call the very first square is financial accounting. The middle one we call managerial accounting. We are managing how the profit is going to be, or at least break even. So budget versus forecast. So why you need a budget? So I know next slide is that we are talking about why you need a budget. As the vacation budget, as I told you at very first, that's the one of the reason I started with that, because it is more close to you, everyone, vacation budget. So the budget is you just put the numbers in 12 months or 3 months. These are the income, these are the revenue I'm getting, these are the expenses, and this will money I should make. That is budget. But making the budget is very careful. When you make the budget, it has to be static. You cannot change the budget. Okay, now you cannot change the budget, but realistically, no one is not going to match 100% to the budget. So first month you realize it is go huge variance with the budget actual. What you actually, the numbers, what you have seen and compared to the budget is very different. So that's why we make a similar to budget, we put a forecast. Forecast, once you see the first month or the first week, you can change your predictions at forecast. So budget and forecast all the time to go together. Main difference is budget you cannot change, but forecast you can change accordingly based on previous month or based on unexpected situations in your business.
And I know that when I went for financing with BDC, so when my company went for financing with the BDC, one of the required elements that they wanted from me was a forecast and a budget. Not for me personally, when you go to the BDC, you're going for your corporation, but certainly they wanted some kind of forecasting and budgeting materials from my company to show that we were thinking ahead of the game and that we understood what we expected as our cost to manage, for sure, with the budget.
Okay, so again, now these are slides 11, and after a few slides, they are give the exact numbers. They say, okay, gross sales, it is 20,000. So sold 9,000, 11,000 is the gross profit. Now it's as a margin. So this is what is in a practical, as an example, what we have talked about previous slides. So same as this one, they're talking about additional line is added. What is operating expenses? The operating expenses are the expenses that you do for stationery. Those are operating expenses because you need some stationery, you need a computer, you need a laptop to go and talk to a customer. If the customer cannot come to your place, you should go to the customer. So you have to have a laptop. So those are some of the operating expenses, and all other repair and maintenance. So those are other than the cost not related to cost of goods sold. All the cost, if I say in other word, all the cost other than cost of goods sold. The cost of goods sold mostly the direct labor, direct material, and some of the overhead, we call overhead, I don't want to use that term, some of the expenses directly related to the cost of the product. So that's why this slide, you can see an additional line is added. Okay. So net margin. Net margin is, you can see the net profit divide by gross revenue. Now, same thing. Now, gross sales, cost of goods sold, operating expenses. This is taxes and interest. What are the taxes you can have? Expect to? GST, HST, right? And some of the taxes that you may have if you own the business property, it is property tax, monthly pay. And interest are if you take a bank loan for your vehicle or some of your inventory, so there's the bank give the money with interest. So now another one more line is added. You can see slide by slide, you learn one line extra, right? So you get the net profit, and net margin is always net profit divided by gross revenue.
And some people might say, well, why does all of this really matter? Why do I need to know my ratios, or why does all of this matter? Well, sometimes it all matters because you can compare yourself to other people in your industry to see if you are what we call benchmarking yourself with the other players and competitors around you in your industry. So when we do our market research workshops, we show people how to take a look at their competitive landscape and also to take a look at their industry landscape using their NAICS code. So anyone who wants to take the stats tomorrow can do that, because they're going to show you how to find your NAICS code, which is your industry code for your particular type of business. They'll walk you through all the different information you can get on the Statistics Canada website. And some of the statistics you can get are industry statistics about the standard industry ratios for your industry, the standard financial performance data for your industry across Canada or in your region. So if you're in a food services business, or you're in a retail business, or you're in some kind of business like that, and you're saying, gee, am I paying the same kind of labor costs as my competitors? Am I paying the same sort of rent costs and location costs and operating expenses as my competitors? You can actually get that data and compare your business to other people's businesses in your industry. And you can see if you're falling in line with your industry standards, if you're maybe performing at a higher standard or a different rate, or if you've got some areas where you can improve. You could say, hey, you know, the restaurant who's in my sort of landscape across the street, why are their labor costs so much lower than mine? You know, why are my labor costs higher than most people in my industry? Is it because Is it because I'm doing something different and I need to change it? Is it because I value my labor differently than others in my industry and we're accommodating that in our pricing structures? So you can answer a lot of really intricate strategy questions for your business by knowing the numbers. And that's really what these things are about. Is it can feel a little bit like you look at this stuff and you go, why do I need to deal with all of this? But the better you have for financial data like this, the better you can do market research, look at your competitors, check yourself against the industry, and also prepare yourself in the future for lending and more complex banking structuring that you can get for your business. If you can walk into your banker's office in a few years' time and talk the talk and walk the walk, all of a sudden a whole world of lending opens up to you as well. So that's the importance of some of these numbers as well.
Yeah, excellent example there for benchmarking, Linda. Thank you. And now the cash flow statement, return on assets. So it is how much assets you have, how much you spend on that business, and how much you received. So it is net profit divided by total assets. When it comes to assets, you might think, what is that? What are the assets? Assets going to be your inventory, may going to be your equipment, some machinery. So those are your assets. You already invested on it. So your net profit divided by total assets is going to be a return on assets. The other one is return on equity. Equity is, this is a little bit tricky. We call owner's equity. So all these total asset, owner's equity, all come at, you can see in balance sheet. So balance sheet, the very first portion is total asset. The second portion is liabilities, how much you owe. The third portion is owner's equity. I will say, in other words, every single business owner, entrepreneur has in their accounting, they have chart of accounts, right? You can remember chart of accounts. So any accounts you can see starting with 1, 2, then starting with 2, starting with 3, starting with 4, then 5 and 6. All ones are assets. All starting with 2s are liabilities. All the things starting with 3 are equity. All the numbers starting with 4 going to give you the revenue numbers. All the numbers starting with 5, 6 and onwards are the expenses. That's the simplest way.
I actually didn't know that. I've been working with QuickBooks for years and years and years, and no one's ever explained that to me. So any of you working with QuickBooks, if you look at your sales revenue, that's a 4 number, isn't it? Like sales falls into 4. I didn't know that. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, this is very easy. Easy for any, you don't want to have accounting knowledge. I simply say, okay, open your chart of accounts and go to ones. Ones are assets, are liabilities.
Yeah. So we're at a hard stop, Nellie, for noon today. So I know we haven't covered everything here.
We discussed the budget. Why we need the budget.
We discussed a lot. So sometimes we just sort of go off course. Usually it's because I'm leading everybody off course. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's do a 3-minute Q&A for anyone who has a burning Q&A question on any of these sorts of financial money side, the language speak. Please stick it in the Q&A because we're going to take a minute or two to answer that if you want to hang around a minute or two longer. I'm also going to put in the chat, we've had some requests for, can we reach out to Business Link for stuff? So I'll give you the lay of the land of who you can reach out to for what. So for example, folks like Mali who are CPAs and they're part of CPA Canada or CPA Alberta, those are your accounting, strategy, financial advisors. When you're building out your business and you're creating your business, I highly recommend this is the first set of advisors you get for your business, and that these are paid for advisors that you make sure you adjust your pricing models for so that you can afford quickly and early in your business to pay for these advisors. They're less expensive than you think, and they will be the ones who help you build out the strategy. And since you're paying them as advisors, one of the things I always teach people to do is ask those people over and over and over again to explain things to you. You're not going to your accountant at the end of the year with your box of receipts to get taxes done. You are going to your accountant once a month or once every 2 months to talk strategy and to talk about numbers and to help them help you identify what's going on in your business and to explain it to you. Don't let them treat you like you're not supposed to ask questions. You are paying them. So be full of questions, and no question is too dumb for your accounting advisor. So that's a CPA. That's the only left designation in Canada that is an official designation. We used to have, you'll see some of your accountants will have CMA, CGA, and CA also with their name. Those are the older sort of grandfathered in designations that belong there. If you have general burning questions about business and entrepreneurship in general, you can reach out to Business Link by phone, email, check out all our do-it-yourself resources online. By phone, you'll actually speak with one of our strategists. So I know we had someone in the chat talk about, well, can I arrange an advisor call? Yes, you can. You can call the 1-800 number and get sort of general advisory help from Business Link. And what that means is we'll lead you to resources. We'll talk to you about, some of the burning questions you have. We'll send you resources. We'll work a little bit with you, but we're not going to do, your accounting or that sort of thing, or your law for you. We won't do that, but we'll get you to where you need to be. Today, we've been talking budgets, we've been talking ratios, we've been talking all of those things. So if you're looking in chat, please click on the links in chat and bookmark them on your own browsers, because you won't have access to chat once this is all done, but you've got some good resources there. You'll have access to this full PDF when we send you a follow-up as well through the handouts. You've got them now. I'm checking for any Q&A. I don't see any Q&A from any of our participants. There was a lot to cover today. Look at all this stuff that there is just so much financial to cover in your business. Think of it as lifelong career learning. Learn the financial piece of your business to the point where you can speak to your advisors in a way that you're going to be able to talk to them. Don't think about accounting as you doing your own books and bookkeeping and that sort of thing. Think about accounting and this topic as a language you're learning so that you can work more effectively with your bookkeeper and with your accountant, and you understand the terminology and the language so that you can quickly get the information you need and drive your business with the information that you're getting there. So that's a kind of a fresh way to look at that. Mali, thank you so much for speaking today and taking the time to present. Do you have any final thoughts or words before we sign off in the next minute or two?
First of all, thank you, Linda, for giving me this opportunity to talk to our business community. I know the time is very tight, and I try to give you most of the things that you are forced to go back and check, and then you get the idea what we are talking. This is not a quick thing that you can, it doesn't matter that you didn't get anything. At least you heard some words. When next time you heard some words or something, you know where to get more information. So you got tons of links Linda provided, and CPA provided some resources, and there you can go to CPA Canada. You can see if you go, that is from CPA website, and you can get the 5 key steps, and the other one is free ebook. So it is very easy. And the thing is, all the time, nothing is easy. You have to be very keen on, and don't, most of the business, not most, few, they think accountants are for tax filing only. This is not the case. If you are really want to move with your business successfully, you have to have a professional service. It's just not the person that I don't want to label anyone, but you have to go to professional. The results, the benefit you can see come along very fast, and you learn more. And with the same money that you pay for that professional person, any professional you are going to reach and get the advice, right? So the professionals already paid for their everything, for their school and everything.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do that. We deliver, we are giving you our knowledge, and we really need small businesses run successfully in Canada. The reason is more than 85% of the money to Canadian government is from small businesses. Trust me, it is not from big corporations. I used to work at big corporations, and I have seen. So, and Statistics Canada also admit, CRA admit, so small businesses are the key backbone of our Canadian economy. So I'm more than happy to support.
Absolutely. Yeah. The folks like you who have stayed on, thank you for staying on an extra 10 minutes. You are the folks, we are all the folks who really drive the economic engines here. And I cannot say enough, even when I was a poor startup entrepreneur, which I was very poor when I started and very hungry when I started. One of the first things I did was get well, at the time it was a CGA, who was so helpful and so patient with me. So look for someone who can be patient with you and explain some terminology as well, but it's well worth it. Your competitors use advisors to make their businesses run. If you go to the doctor, if you go to the mechanic, if you go anywhere for professional help, you're doing that in your business as well. So this is one of the professional helpers. You're taking the time today to get educated on terminology and attend this session. I appreciate that very much, and so does Mali. On that note, I will send a follow-up email to everyone with links, etc. in it. You'll see that come probably tomorrow to you. Thanks for staying on an extra 10 minutes. Thank you today, Mali, for speaking. And I wish everyone a wonderful lunch hour. Thanks so much, everyone. Take care.
Okay. Okay. Bye. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
Bye.